Welcome to Notable Approvals. I am attorney Amanda Shaffer. Before we get to our case today, a couple of quick announcements. Excuse me. First, don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube or anywhere where you watch us so you don't miss out on any of our informative lives. On that note, if you find this video helpful or any others, please make sure to share with family and friends. And last announcement, this Wednesday, September 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, we will be having episode number 13 of Are You Smarter Than a Naturalized Citizen? We have 2 more immigration attorneys going head-to-head to see who can pass the naturalization test first. I invite you all to join. It's going to be a good show. On that note, let's get to today's case. So today we are talking about a dreamer who's finally a permanent resident. And if you've watched my lives before, and you've seen me talk about any of my clients who had DACA, you would know how excited I am that we were able to help get them a green card. Especially considering the fact that right now people with DACA are sitting there wondering if and when they'll be able to have their status become a permanent status, but there are other ways in certain circumstances, and this is a good example of a case where we were able to do it. So in this case, we have a client who is a native and citizen of Mexico. She entered the U.S. in 2002 without inspection. So that means no proof of her entry. She was only a few years old. She applied for DACA before she turned 18, but it didn't get approved until after she turned 18. But that was okay, because if you apply for DACA before you turn 18, or really within 180 days of turning 18, you do not accrue unlawful presence, and that's going to be very important here, which is why we're able to get her the green card the way we did. So, excuse me, she applies for DACA before she turns 18. It gets approved after she turns 18. And then she timely renewed it every time, which means before it expired, she submitted her renewal application, even if the approval was after the DACA actually expired. So even though she had DACA before she turned 18 and didn't have to worry about accruing unlawful presence, she still had an entry without inspection, which is a problem for adjustment of status, which is how you can get your green card without leaving the U.S. In 2019, she married her U.S. citizen boyfriend. I'm doing good, Lambert. How about you? And thanks for watching as always. And we made sure when they first came to us, we really studied those DACA notices carefully to make sure she didn't accrue unlawful presence, and she didn't. But the problem was there was no more advanced parole for DACA at the time. If anyone out there has DACA or has family or friends who have DACA and might know what I'm talking about, but basically, if you're here illegally and you leave the country, you're deporting yourself. So advanced parole was something you apply for. It's a travel document that lets you re-enter the U.S. People who had DACA were eligible for a while to apply for it. I believe they're still letting you apply for advanced parole, but it's very limited. It has to be for a work or humanitarian purpose, so it's really hard. So we weren't able to get her advanced parole, which would be either her entry we'd be able to use her entry as an inspection and admission as a parolee, or at least have the advanced parole document so that when she did leave the U.S., if something happened at her visa interview, she'd still be able to come back. But luckily, none of that's a problem. So, like I said, she got married in 2019 to a U.S. citizen. And we filed the I-130 a couple months after they got married. And we had a good amount of evidence. The petitioner actually had been married before, so a judgment of divorce, along with their marriage certificate, of course, joint lease, joint health insurance, the petitioner's employment benefits, which listed the beneficiary as the primary beneficiary for those plans, like the 401k, life insurance, pension, accidental death. We had 4 affidavits from family and friends and a lot of different photographs from their wedding and then from different vacations and events they had gone to together. I don't believe, if I remember correct, I don't believe they even had an interview. It was approved relatively easily in 6 months, but that wasn't really the part we were worried about. We were more worried about, well, what comes next? So the next step in their process now, if she had a lawful entry, then she files for the adjustment of status or the green card application the same time they filed a marriage petition. But because she didn't have a lawful entry, first we had to get the marriage petition approved. Once it was approved, it was sent to the National Visa Center. At that part of the process is when we did things like submit the affidavit of support, submit her birth certificate, her passport, all of her identity documents. This was the part of the process where eventually she'd have her medical examination also. But what that means is that she was going to have to leave the US, of course, to get her green card, doing what's called consular processing. So once you submit the affidavit of support, the supporting financial documents, the supporting civil documents, the immigrant visa application, then the case gets transferred abroad to the embassy in wherever you're from, whatever country. In her case, it was Mexico, and she had her case transferred to Ciudad Juarez. That is a very busy embassy, especially with COVID. So that was part of the problem. This is all happening in the middle of COVID. And my client was very concerned because we didn't know how, we couldn't even give her a time frame. CDJ was closed down for a while, like every other embassy. And that's the same embassy that a lot of like asylum applicants will end up passing through. So it's a very busy embassy, and we were really worried about what the wait time was going to look like. But luckily, we submitted all the stuff, and the interview notice finally came. And in a situation like this, we tell the client, you don't have to leave the US until you get the interview notice. Once you get the interview notice, you have 3 to 4 weeks. You leave, you plan your trip, you leave, you go get your medical in your country, you know, whatever else, and then you have your interview at the US Embassy abroad, and then it's not 100% guaranteed that they're going to approve it. Should everything go right, they then put an immigrant visa into your passport, and that is your entry document. She then re-entered the other day with the immigrant visa, and then within 60 days of her entry, her green card is mailed to her. Nothing further is needed once she enters the US. She just enters the US on the immigrant visa, green card mailed. So the only thing we're waiting for at this point is for her to get her green card. I believe she's going to be getting a 10-year green card because I believe her visa interview occurred more than 2 years after they were married. So instead of getting a 2-year conditional, they should get a 10-year green card, and they won't have to apply for the I-751 petition to remove conditions on residency, which I've talked a lot about in notable approvals. And she will be eligible for US citizenship in 3 years if they stay married and living together. So what did we learn from this case? Why is it notable? Well, I always find it notable when a dreamer becomes not a US citizen, well, that too, becomes a permanent resident. I know all you dreamers out there have gone through a lot over the past, what is it now, 8-9 years or so since DACA first popped its head up. So it's always exciting when we have someone come to us who we know, like, they don't have criminal history. The only negative thing against them is their entry without inspection as a baby, except that they don't have any unlawful presence. And DACA was able to keep them in a status, or not. It's not really a status. It's kind of like it kind of put a hold on the unlawful presence, so that we were able to get them a green card. Really doing the normal process without anything extra, like a waiver of admissibility. So we're very excited for our clients. I know they're very anxious to have the physical green card in their hand, understandably, but it'll be there soon. So that really is all today for notable approvals. Again, we love working with clients with DACA who are eligible to adjust their status. I mean, we'll tell you if you are or you're not. But of course, we love working with all our clients. We're here for you if you need us. So that is all today for notable approvals. Don't forget, share this video if you know someone that's in this situation that might find it helpful. Make sure to like us and follow us on the Facebook and the YouTube and the Instagram and all that stuff. And don't forget, tune in Wednesday night. This Wednesday night, September 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, episode 13 of Are You Smarter Than a Naturalized Citizen? We hope to see you all there. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.